Good morning, and welcome to the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I'm Paul Gibb, your service associate this morning. My pronouns are he and him, and I'm joined today by service leader Nicolette Toussaint, whose pronouns are she and her. Today's music is provided by Julie Morris on piano, and Clara Kelly is leading our hymns. Today's tech team is Larry Sherwood and Deborah Mensch. We welcome you here today. You are welcome in all the beauty of languages, cultures, skin tones, shapes and sizes, gifts and challenges that come together in your uniqueness. In all the ways you experience and express gender, in the beauty that is who you love and how you love, in all the ways you make your living, the places you are from, and the ancestors whose legacies shaped your life. With all of the traditions that inform your spiritual life, you are welcome here today. No matter where your ancestors were born, or what they did or did not do in their lives, you are welcome here. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears, you are welcome here. You are invited to join us with a curious mind, a loving heart, and willing spirit. We welcome you today. We acknowledge that the land surrounding us is the stolen territory of the Arapaho people, and that many native peoples lived freely on this land for millennia before the arrival of white settlers. If you're new here, we're glad you found us. We hope that whether you're here with us in person or virtually, you can experience the warmth and love of this congregation. We have many opportunities during the week for social connection and spiritual growth. If you're on Zoom, check out links in the chat to help you get connected. If you're here in person, stop by the welcome table in the foyer to chat and fill in our newcomer form. That form is also available on the QR code on the back of the hymnal. If you'd like an order of service for today's service, please scan the QR code on the screens now, or click on the link in the Zoom chat. Everyone on Zoom is welcome to stay for conversation after the service. Those here in person, come to our coffee hour in the fellowship hall. If you're on Zoom, please feel free to greet each other in the chat. And if you're a newcomer, let us know. We'd love to know who is among us. Those of you in the sanctuary, please take a moment to greet your neighbor. I'm speaking. Okay. If you have a chalice at home, light it with Nicolette as she lights our fellowship chalice. So we know where all our chalices are, please write in the chat, chalice lit, in the name of your town. Please say the words along with me as Nicolette lights our chalice. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action. And now I'll sing our bowl again, inviting you to sink into the sound and the company of our beloved community.
These are the words of Adrienne Rich. My heart is moved by all that I cannot save. So much has been destroyed. I have cast my lot with those who age after age, perversely, and with no extraordinary power, reconstitute the world.
We get to sing again. This hymn is number 21 in your gray hymnal. If your body is cooperating with you today and you'd like to stand, then go ahead. If not, that's okay too. We're going to just sing verses 1, 3, and 4.
Ever see a baby be born? If you haven't, try watching Call the Midwife on PBS. Seeing the little creature get pushed out of his or her warm bungalow into the cold, hard universe evokes deep emotions inside of us, wakes our parental instincts up out of their primordial slumber, makes us want to hug the little bears, even hold them and put our lips on their foreheads and cheeks. And if one has never watched children be born or given birth oneself, the same sort of reaction can take over our bodies and souls during an adoption. When those little eyes look up at us, unexpected emotions are likely to crowd up out of nowhere, hit us hard, whammo, and make us have feelings that many of us never could have imagined before. And we are likely to keep on having those feelings and wanting to provide nurture and protection for the rest of our lives. Ever try to imagine your ancestors' births? Yes, your grandmother and grandfather, not to mention your grandmother's grandmother's grandmothers and your grandfather's grandfather's grandfathers. All of them started out from a sperm cell and an egg cell, and all of them came into the world weighing less than 10 or 12 pounds. Helpless, unable to talk, walk, or even crawl, let alone feed or clothe themselves. How lucky we are that someone was there for every one of them. Otherwise, they would not be our ancestors, and we would not be here. Let us take a few minutes to thank each of our ancestors for whatever combination of love, joy, pain, and hardship they experienced while raising the next generation, cradling that tiny bundle inside their bodies for 9 months, nursing, nurturing, working hard in the fields to provide food and a warm place to sleep. And all of it through plagues, famines, fires, earthquakes, freezing winters, ice ages, and interminable wars. Let us feel their love pouring over us, nurturing and sustaining us still. Thank you, ancestors. However, let us also recognize that some portion of our ancestors, in addition to creating the next generation, did some of what we now consider to be very bad things. For instance, I'm descended from members of the most notorious slave trading family in American history, the BVUUF family. Though fortunately, my branch of the family broke off and became abolitionists. But the bad some of our ancestors did can sometimes help us better realize what we ourselves should never do. For instance, I have been greatly helped by seeing the horrible things that some of my ancestors did. Seeing the painful results of some of their awful relationships has helped lead me down a path towards a much more wonderful life with a lot more gratitude. I think we can all learn from their mistakes. May we all discover some life-changing lessons our ancestors can teach us. Human beings like us, most all of them imperfect creatures living in a world even more imperfect than our present-day imperfect world.
And now I invite us into our time of community connection, our time of sacred sharing. If you're on Zoom and you'd like to share a joy or a concern, please type it into the chat window, sending it to everyone, and let us know briefly what is in your heart today. Deborah Mensch will read aloud what you share, and Paul will add a stone to our sacred waters on your behalf. Our Sunday support person this morning is Pat Boltop. She's wearing a white stole and she's waving. After the service, she will be at the welcome desk and available for pastoral care. I have the Joys and Concerns book here, and we have some, the dates are a little scrambled, so at risk of missing somebody, I might read something that you heard last week. Paul, please add one last stone for any joys and concerns that remain in the silent sanctuary of our hearts, knowing that even in silence, we are bound together in the web of life.
This is the time we remind ourselves of the abundance of our lives and this community by giving half of our plate away to organizations that share our values. This week, we're donating to Right Relationship Boulder, a collaboration of Indigenous and non-Native people working to support Indigenous people's connection to land, to raise Indigenous voices, and to practice right relationships with the Native peoples in Boulder Valley today. This summer, our fellowship hosted members of the Arapaho and Cheyenne tribes. We provided overnight housing, food, and personal connections during the tribe's transition time to a cultural enrichment camp that passes on ancestral knowledge of the land, the constellations, sacred ceremonies, and ancestral stories, and daily living skills. You can text your donation to the number on the screen, or if you are in the fellowship today, place a donation in the offering plate as it passes. Please give generously, as you so often do.
For the work of this fellowship, bringing love, reason, compassion, and justice to this world, and for right relationship, Boulder, we dedicate these offerings.
In 1869, Robert Lowry, an American Baptist minister, published the hymn that we're about to sing. Most of the words were written before that by a woman known only as Pauline T. During the witch hunts of the House Un-American Activities Committee, or HUAC, Doris Plen added the last verse about tyrants. And Pete Seeger, personal hero, often performed this hymn. HUAC did indeed sentence Pete Seeger to a year in jail, but he never went. So we're going to sing, it's hymn number 108, all of the verses, and it'll be on the screen or in your book. And once again, if your body's feeling like it, go ahead and rise. My life goes on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars? I know the truth it liveth. What though the darkness round me close? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? To prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing? As Nicolette.
I titled this, Leaving a Legacy During a Perilous Time. Paul Gibb and I are ninth cousins. We know this because during a walk one day, Mary Gibb noticed and recognized our historical connection. Paul and I are both descendants of Mary Lovett Tyler, who was born in 1651 in Massachusetts. Mary, a good Puritan, married Hope Still Tyler. Paul and I are descendants of 2 of their 9 children. Paul comes from daughter Martha Tyler Gear, and I come from brother Hope Still Tyler Jr. Mary Leavitt Tyler was accused during the Salem witchcraft trials. Fortunately, she wasn't executed. Unfortunately, she did spend a year imprisoned in a shed along with two of her daughters. Salem left a legacy that goes beyond descendants, of course. What did it teach us? Well, language offers a clue. Today, one of the definitions in Merriam-Webster's dictionary says that witch hunt is the, quote, searching out and deliberate harassment of those, such as political opponents, with unpopular views. Professor Len Niehoff of the University of Michigan Law School said the lessons that come from Salem underscore the importance of impartial judges, the dangers of merging church and state, and the importance of a stable judiciary structure. He then says, the greatest problems were not prosecutors and judges. They were fear and ignorance. Fear of those unlike us. Fear of speaking truth to power. Ignorance of history, of science, of the difference between the demons we imagine and those we really face. Even though the witch trials began in 1692, that sounds so 2025, doesn't it? As is the case now, polarization was also a key cause. Half of Salem Village supported the minister and wanted to split off from Salem town. The other half wanted to stick with the town, but they refused to pay taxes to support the reverend. While serving on a ministerial search committee years ago, I heard a term that would have described Salem at that time, a minister-eating church. That was in San Francisco. In the 16 years before Paris took the job, 3 previous ministers had already been driven out. And this was at a time when the average tenure for ministers was 21 years, not 5. Rather than work out their differences, each faction in Salem struggled for power via the town's governing committee, the church, and public opinion, all of which were bundled together in the Puritan theocracy. Once the witchcraft accusations began, supporters of the Reverend turned demonization into deadly violence. Times were already perilous. New England's colonists, who had broken treaties and encroached on Algonquian land, were losing King Philip's War. And the Reverend's supporters were sure that their opponents were conspiring with the devil to help the Native Americans. Not only was Salem bedeviled by fear, personal vendettas, land grabs, and power struggles, it probably also suffered from food poisoning. Rye was Salem's staple food, and there's an ergot fungus that grows on rye. Rye was Salem's staple food, and ergot poisoning can cause hallucination and paranoia. That's not surprising because the ergot that grows on wet rye contains alkaloids, including lysergic acid, which is what LSD is made from. Eating ergot-contaminated food can lead to violent muscle spasms, vomiting, delusions, hallucinations, and prickling skin, all things noted in the minutes of Salem's witchcraft trials. Scholars have also mapped where in Salem the victims of the accused witches live, mostly on the west by the river. That year, the river flooded nearby granaries. Salem's minister bought his grain in that neighborhood, and ergot poisoning could explain what happened to the Reverend's dog. But before I go barking up that tree, Let me say that, in my humble opinion, a poorly executed ministerial settlement also contributed to the hot mess in Salem. Since we will soon be welcoming a new minister, we might ask whether Salem's history holds any lessons for us here at the ship. Now, the minister's role has changed a little bit in the last 333 years. Puritan ministers were usually the most powerful figures in New England towns, and I doubt that anyone ever asked Reverend Ferranti, Roseberry, or Reverend Harris for permission to settle in Lafayette. But new residents had to do that before moving into Puritan towns. Still, our UU churches do follow practices that go back to the Pilgrims, our religious ancestors. Puritan ministers exchanged the right hand of fellowship, and we still use that ritual when ordaining clergy. One of the two churches that were involved in the historical witch trials is now called the First Church in Salem, Unitarian Universalist. It was founded by Puritans in 1629. Puritans believed that churches and town councils were independent and accountable only to God. That's called congregational polity, and it had been the rule in Salem's church for 40-some years when Reverend Parris arrived. Parris emigrated from England to Boston in his teens. He attended Harvard briefly, but never graduated. After failing as a merchant, he served as a guest and interim minister for several local churches for about 2 years. When Samuel Parris became Salem's minister in 1689, he moved there with his wife, niece, daughter, and 2 slaves from Barbados. Parris had no degree in ministry, and I think his experience was pretty thin. I think he would have actually had a hard time meeting the current UUA guideline advising search committees to, quote, obtain from the minister at least 3 references from every congregation served. It also took Parris a heck of a long time to accept the job. Judging from how long he dickered with the search committee, more than a year, he wasn't all that eager to serve. But he had reason to have reservations. So 2 lessons here. Hire someone with relevant experience and make sure they really want the job. Salem was indeed a minister-eating church. 3 ministers before Parris were embroiled in conflict. Some of them refused to pay the minister's salary, provide firewood for the parsonage, or keep up renovations on the church. Aside here, building and grounds and our transition team are doing great, both within the church and with the new gazebo going up. But on with the story. The witchcraft outbreak started in the minister's own home. In January of 1691, Reverend Parris' 9-year-old daughter, Betty, began to forget errands. She couldn't concentrate on prayers. She barked like a dog when scolded. She screamed when she heard the Our Father prayer, and she hurled a Bible across the room. Betty sobbed. She spoke of being damned. Then, in January of 1692, her cousin Abigail began having fits, screaming in pain, complaining that invisible spirits were pinching her. Ann Putnam and other local girls soon felt similar symptoms, and the village physician diagnosed Betty as having been afflicted by witchcraft. Reverend Parris wrote that it was, quote, a very sore rebuke and humbling providence that the Lord ordered the horrid calamity to break out first in his own family. And he tried to keep Betty's diagnosis a secret. So this next lesson is about welcoming the minister's family, but honoring their privacy. Without consulting the reverend, a nosy church member told Reverend Paris's slave, John Indian, to make a cake of rye meal, mix it with the children's urine, and give it to the dog. Yum. Because the witch's evil essence was in the urine, the dog would start biting, and the bites were supposed to force the witch to reveal himself or herself. Well, no witch showed up, but the dog howled. A sure sign of the devil, or maybe ergot poisoning. In the months following, Paris' daughter and niece accused more than 100 people of witchcraft, and they started with the Reverend's other slave, Tituba, who was from the West Indies, as you will remember. After her arrest, Tituba confessed that she was indeed a witch, and she warned that there were others in Salem. Many historians believe that the Putnam family took advantage of Salem's mass hysteria by persecuting people they disliked. So here come two more lessons, these about right relations in your congregation and the danger of merging church and state. Clearly, the Salem congregation did not see, quote, difference as a source of deep learning and spiritual growth, nor did they strive to promote love, reason, and respect. Ultimately, Thomas Putnam accused and testified against 43 people. His daughter Anne testified against another 62. Thomas Putnam may have even solicited Reverend Paris's help to regain land that the Putnam family had lost as Salem Village grew. Then there's the danger of church and state colluding. When the trials began, Reverend Paris himself would submit complaints, serve as a witness, testify against the accused, and even serve as the legal record keeper. As Professor Niehoff has written, the accused had no legal rights. They were presumed guilty. They had no right to counsel, and they could be accused by hearsay and what was called spectral evidence. Those are visions that are reported by the supposed victims. Sadly, none of those who were executed were witches. They were really closer to Christian martyrs. Like the victims of Joseph McCarthy, they could have escaped persecution by naming names, that is, bearing false witness against others. But many true Christians, like Paul's and my ancestor, Mary Lovett Tyler, refused to do that. By the end, at least 25 people, mostly women, died. 19 were executed by hanging. 1 was tortured to death. At least 5 died in jail. Of the 160 accused in Salem and Danvers Village, most were locked up while also being deprived of property and legal rights. 2 dogs, supposedly possessed by the devil, were also killed. In October 1692, a new governor ended the witchcraft court. And then starting in 1693, a new superior court eventually emptied the jails. Last lesson, Corinthians 13. The first UU Church of Salem has published some wisdom about this history, saying, the real evil that existed in Salem did not reside in the people who were imprisoned and executed. Rather, it lay in the religious fervor of the accusers and judges who believed that what they were doing was righteous and holy. That statement brings us to this month's worship theme, compassion, and to the vanishingly rare experience of hearing me quote the Bible. Corinthians 13, 4-8 says, love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It does not insist on its own way. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Whether we want it or not, our deeds echo into the future. As Reverend Victoria Safford, a living UU minister, has written, we leave legacies, like it or not, on purpose or by accident, stories, values, traditions, toxic waste dumps, monuments, magnum opuses, mistakes, ethical ideas, rituals. She goes on to say, ours is a movement that from its beginnings has survived and thrived on the edge of risk. For over 300 years in this country, Unitarian Universalism has been part of a liberal religious tradition, one that to some extent defines itself in terms of risk, living on the edge, the frontier, the fringe. End of quote. For many of our ancestors, to dissent was to risk your life. Today, we're feeling that risk again, wondering how best to resist and dissent, what course to chart. Reverend Safford offers an insightful way to seek answers. Try thinking of yourself already as an ancestor, she suggests, a leaver of legacies for descendants you will never meet, a pioneer to those whose lives are already entwined with yours. So from our perilous time, what is it that you wish to leave to your children's children's children? To your church, to your town, to your country. As for me, to paraphrase Adrienne Rich, I wish to cast my lot with those who, age after age, perversely, with no extraordinary power, reconstitute the world.
So it's just a hard time to be hopeful. Yesterday was a hopeful day. If you guys saw some of the protests going on around, or were part of them. But one of the places I find hope are in people who've refused to give up that hope under much more difficult circumstances than we. And so we are going to sing There's More Love Somewhere, which is hymn number 95. And bear with me, I know we've done it recently, but this song is giving me a lot of hope because it was created by enslaved people who believed that their lives could be better. And we are a long way from that, y'all. But we can root ourselves in that same hope. So if you want to be bold and believe in hope with me today, let's sing There's More Love Somewhere. I'm going to sing it loud and badly, and I hope that you will join me.
There is more love.
stay standing for our chalice extinguishing words. Ready, Paul? Okay. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, nor the energy of action. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. All right, come forward. Join hands, or touch elbows, or give yourself a hug, whatever feels comfortable. Paul's going to come help me do the benediction. I got to hear, cuz.
Okay, for those who came before us,
Oh, I stepped on your lines. Thank you.
I'm sorry, what?
He's,
For those who came before us, we offer gratitude and thanks. May their memories be a blessing. May we feel surrounded by their love.
as we go forth from this time and place, let us be inspired by their courage, their wisdom, and their dreams.
Let us honor them by doing the work of living boldly, loving mightily.
Let us honor them by creating heaven here on earth.
Amen,
and blessed be. Hey, Keith, I think you have some announcements for us.
Good morning. I'm Keith C. Wright. I'm your board secretary. I go by he, him pronouns. I have a lot of announcements today. So, about 6, I think. The first one, you are invited to participate in a search focus group sometime over the next 2 weeks. You can join a session at the fellowship, at Fraser Meadows, or online through Zoom. You can find a group by using the QR code shown on the screen right now. We want everyone in the congregation to join in these small groups to answer questions about who we are as a fellowship. The goal is to decide how we can best represent ourselves in the search and make the best possible match with our next minister. Childcare will be provided for the sessions after the service today and next Sunday. Today, October 19th, will be the first in a series of crafts in the fellowship hall for all ages to get together and have some fun doing a variety of crafty activities. Karen Griglack will be hosting ghost and harvest ornament making after this Sunday's service. This happy crafting is sponsored by your spiritual exploration team under the auspices of Lifespan Faith Formation. Next, the Social Justice Council will meet at 12:30 in Fellowship Hall today, along with all of its task forces and teams. The Good Ship Gratitude is set to take sail at our annual fundraising auction here on December the 6th. Today during coffee hour, come visit the information table to find out how you can volunteer, submit donations, and get your tickets for an evening of live music, food, drink, and fun activities for the whole family. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year. Outside of the pledge drive, it's great fun, so don't miss it. And this one you heard during Joys and Concerns, but there is going to be a drumming activity outside at 11:30, so go listen to that. And then for the last announcement, I'd like David Burrows to come up and make a brief and happy announcement.
Good morning. My name is David Burrows, and I'm the Fellowship's Building and Grounds Coordinator, a position evidently that carries a lifetime commitment. It's my pleasure to announce that the Fellowship has once again been awarded the Gold certification by the Green Business Network of the state of Colorado. We were recognized for exemplary work towards true, sustainable operations driven by care for the well-being of our environment, economy, and society. I'd like to thank Larry Lavender for his support in helping put together the application. And if you have any questions about the award, please talk with me in the fellowship hall during coffee hour. Thanks.
Thank you, David. I invite all of you to keep your seats and enjoy the closing music, or if you prefer, exit quietly and enjoy a conversation in the fellowship hall. Thank you.